Good morning, good morning, good morning, nephew. How is it
Good
in the
morning.
ATL?
Good morning. It was storming last night. It was
You got
storming
what we
last night.
had.
Hey, it rinsed away some of that pollen though, because that was getting to be a little ridiculous.
Oh wow. I know you said you had a rough night, baby girl. Kind of kept. She ran the house last night. I
She
hear.
ran the house last night,
She
would not
ran
stay
the house.
asleep, and just waking up in the middle of the night crying, and then had to go downstairs. Gave her something to eat, hoping that she would just rest through the night. She would not. She just wanted to sleep in the room with us, I guess.
Maybe it was the storms and all that too. You
Maybe,
know.
but usually she sleeps through anything, and now it seems I think subconsciously, you get to a point where even though you're asleep, you kind of recognize certain things, and
Hmm.
you wake up at the same time or certain times. Yeah, she's definitely to that point. At one point, I thought we were on the same schedule. I was like, "Dang, this not gonna work," because I get up before Glenn because Glenn goes to work later than I do, so that means everything that starts her day sooner than she expects it to be started. And it's like, I don't know, somehow me and the baby on the same schedule. Like even before when I was on leave, if I took a nap, that's usually when she took a nap. When I woke up, that's usually when she wakes up.
Wow. Well, at that age, they rule the world, right? They rule the
Right,
house.
right,
They're learning, and we're helping them evolve and learn that word, right? They're
right.
learning.
Learn.
Learn. Yeah. So I feel good this morning. I caught up on my rest because I was super tired. I think I was in zombie mode for the last few days with the traveling because I was tired before I went.
Hmm.
But I caught up last night. I caught up. I slept well. I didn't keep waking up. So I'm ready. I'm ready. I'm ready, y'all. So
All right.
let's do this. I'll start us out with our reading, and then I'm going to turn it over to the nephew. Let him do what he do. I talked to Brandon last night. For the first time. I talked to him last night. So we've been kind of chatting a little bit, but not a lot. But I got to talk to him. So he was telling me how much he missed this part of his life. So
Uh
I told him you had his plate and was eating pretty well.
huh. I
So
guess he hasn't had a chance to catch an episode since he's been out.
he has not, because they
Mm-hmm.
were in a place where everything was kind of choppy as far as the internet, and they kind of wanted to just let it all go for a bit.
Gotcha.
Uh,
Makes perfect
as
sense. You
well.
have to
Hmm.
disconnect.
They just had to let it go. I dropped my paper here, y'all. I'll get it later. Um, yeah, so he is not, but he is back in the States, so we'll catch up later.
Okay.
So you guys, we've been um, reading Daily Motivations for African American Success. And if you've been rocking with us, you know this is a book by Dennis Kimbro. He is also the author of Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice, he's a best-selling author of Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice. And Daily Motivations, I'll get us going here. Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead you to the achievement of your true goals. In 365 short but powerful motivations, one for each day of the year, Dennis Kimbro, also author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, a Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, and become wise enough to know when to say yes, but also when to say no, and when to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans, such as, but not limited to, Malcolm X, Marion Wright Edelman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowland, and a hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you y'all think about that word, fresh encouragement every day of the year. But what it teaches you will last a lifetime. Black Enterprise says that each affirmation in this valuable and thought provoking book takes only a few minutes to read, but it is worthy of more time for contemplation. So let's do it, nephew. Let's do it. Good morning to Brenda Davis out there. I tell y'all, she is learning. She is not waffling. She knows what color her parachute is. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and for all of the others who join us every day.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Good morning, Miss Brenda. Good morning. Good morning. We're going to jump right into it. April 3rd, day 63. This is day 63, ladies and gentlemen. And today's title is Who Are You Kidding? Like, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Yeah, you have to do the gesture, you have to change your tone, your body language has to speak to it too. Like, who are you kidding? Come on, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? When you get in the mirror, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? Today's quote comes from Gloria Naylor. Status is a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Again, status is a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. And the passage reads this morning on this April 3rd. I love the story of the man who was very insecure. One day he was promoted from major to colonel and was ushered into his new office. Again, the I love the story of the man who was very insecure, not just insecure, he was very insecure. Excuse me. One day he was promoted from major to colonel and was ushered into his new office. He gazed proudly at his new surroundings, and suddenly there was a knock at the door. In walked the corporal. The colonel said, "Just a minute, corporal. I have to finish this phone call." He picked up the receiver and pushed the button and said, "I'm sorry about the interruption, General. Now, where were we?" "Oh, yes, sir. I'll take care of it." "Of course. Of course I will, sir. I'll check my schedule and see when we can meet for tennis." "It's true. We're close friends. Yes." "I'll call the president immediately after we finish talking with you, General." You're welcome, sir." The colonel the colonel ceremoniously put his phone down and turned to the young man and asked, "Now, what can I do for you?" The corporal answered, "Well, sir, I just came to connect your phone." Far too many people walk through life with a low self-image. They are overly concerned with the weaknesses rather than their strengths, and they try to conceal them with a false sense of status. The person with the healthy, happy attitude towards his world recognizes his imperfections and strives to find his strengths. Never forget that you have strengths and talents waiting to be developed. And the affirmation for the day is I release any need for false status. I am comfortable with who and what I am, and as I develop strengths, I will uncover my greatest gifts. Again, I release any need for false status. I am comfortable with who and what I am. As I develop my strengths, I will uncover my greatest gifts. Once more time for the people in the back, for the black folks in the back, listen to us. I release any need for false status. I am comfortable with who and what I am. As I develop my strengths, I will uncover my greatest gifts. Some stories I feel like are straightforward, but then everybody doesn't quite catch it. And so then that's where we get an opportunity, Auntie, to come in and kind of fill in that gap to try to bring forth perspective and say, okay, how can we make this practical? How can we make this pragmatic and relative to someone's life today? I think that this has a strong presence and relevance to today's society, especially from a social media standpoint and what people try to chase and what we consider within our culture is called putting on or you just dang, what was it called in the 90s? It was another word for it. It wasn't called putting on before. It was like faking the funk. I think that might be 80s. I might have skipped a decade or so, but I think everyone listening can kind of understand and really relate to the fact that you have people that fake it till they make it. They fake it till they make it, and some people live and die by that moniker. They live and die by that approach to life that they're willing to fake it till they make it. But I think the scarier part and the part that creates so much confusion is when do you realize who you are? When do you realize, okay, I've come into this understanding of my own self identity, my gifts, my strengths, my weaknesses, my downfalls, my pitfalls, what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, what I'm talented at, what I'm not talented at, what I try to participate in that it just doesn't quite fit me very well, but most of the people around me are doing it, or maybe it's the cool thing to do, or it has more excitement around it and it gains you more attention and you're still trying to do it, but it's just not you. It's just not you.
Mhm.
I think in this illustration, Auntie, it's pretty interesting that brother, you just got promoted. Why are you doing? You're doing the most. Like you're doing the most.
You're picking
You
up
just
the book bag and there's the parachute, right?
right. Like why? Why do that? You were just promoted to colonel. A corporal walked in. You outrank him by so many, positions on the hierarchy, and you're still putting on. You still feel the need to try to impress, as if what you've already obtained and how you've gotten there is not enough. And we gotta let that to the side. We gotta let that go because this keeping up with the Joneses are trying to create this perception or branding of yourself that's outside of just who you are. Who is that helping? And how hard do you have to fight to sustain it? But there's just some thoughts that's just after reading the passage that kind of come to mind in this particular scenario. And before I hand it back over to you, Auntie, I want to just kind of touch on Gloria Naylor. And I do this every single morning from the person who is being quoted. I didn't have to do it with Dr. King because his name speaks for itself. But Gloria, I had to go and try to figure out who this novelist and who this author was. And what I come to learn, what I've come to learn to be educated upon is she wrote the book The Women of Brewster Place. And it turned into a movie. So Auntie, help me out with
Right.
this one. It turned into a movie, and Oprah Winfrey starred in it. So I'm guessing, and don't laugh at me, or laugh if you want to. The only thing I can think of a movie with Oprah in it, and I can't remember the name of it, but I remember it being like this group of women and certain things happening throughout the movie. But at the end of the movie, somehow they were either breaking down a wall of bricks or they were throwing bricks at a wall and the wall was coming down or
That's
something along those lines. Is that the same movie?
I believe so. I looked it up real
Okay.
quick, but I believe that is. I believe that is. Yep, I forgot all
Okay.
about that movie. When you said, and I didn't know. Thank you. I appreciate you looking them up because I don't do that. But that is the Women of Brewster Place. Let's see.
Okay. What
Somebody's
what was the
probably telling
premise of
us
that
out
movie?
here.
Do you
Good
remember the
morning, Mike
premise?
Arnold. I do remember it was a lot happening. And it was, oh gosh, it was kind of like, what's the name of that movie? Spike, is it Spike Lee? To me, I don't know why that's the first thing comes to mind, where the community was just going down and the people were doing everything and anything, and that was their way of kind of taking back the community. They were fighting for
Oh, right, right,
the
right. Yep,
community.
yep. Somebody
Yeah,
had what did a kid pass or something like that? Then they finally got mad. I remember it
I
raining and
believe
then
so.
right, it was
Most
some
all
yeah,
of them. Yeah, I believe so because I think some seems like most all of them somebody ends up getting killed and then we get angry and then go back to business as usual, right?
right, right,
So I
right, right,
believe
right,
so. I
right.
forgot all about that movie. So she wrote that this author, he not author but the lady who did the quote, she is the author of that movie. She
Right, right.
wrote.
She's the
Okay,
novelist for
the
the book
novelist.
that
Okay,
turned
for
into
the
the
book.
film. Yep. Hmm.
Okay, gotcha. Wow. So y'all, today's who are you kidding, right? Let's break it down. Status is a bridge from where you are to where you want to be. Status is a bridge from, and now status, y'all, maybe we should define the word status. What does it status mean to you? It is the bridge from where you are to where you want to be. It reminds me of yesterday where they were laying the bricks and both were asked the same question. And the gentleman who talked about, let's see, that he was building a cathedral, I think it was.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
if you guys remember, it said he looked away when he asked the question. He looked away as if he was seeing that building.
Hmm.
So let's go back to this quote for today: where you want to be, or who you want to be, because you guys, we're always becoming. But if you are in a state of fear, and that's what when you're insecure, you're in a state of fear and anxiety. You're always trying to prove yourself. I heard a group of women say, and this was a question that was put out there: who or what type of man is the most difficult man to love? And the answer that
Mm,
most all women gave was an insecure man.
mm.
Because y'all, it could be right there in front of them, but they don't see what we see. They think less of themselves than much less than people do. So they're always trying to prove themselves, and they do that by lying, by creating stories as this one in here. And like you said, you're doing this for someone that your rank is so much higher than. So I'm hoping he didn't know what rank it was, right? We You kind of left in the air about, did he even know who walked in, right? As far
I,
as
I,
position.
I would believe so, and the only reason that I say that is because he was coming to connect the phone. So he works in some side some he works in the IT department. He knows that there's been a promotion and somebody is probably moving into the office. So there may have not been anyone who's been in that office for some
Well, I'm
time, and
saying
so
the colonel, because the colonel picked up the phone to impress someone who has
right, a
much less.
corporal. But I think he
Corporal.
knew because
Yeah,
based off the badging and the recognition, I think he knew. I don't.
but the smart man didn't know enough to pick up the book bag.
Right,
I mean,
right. I think he knew it was the insecurity. It's going back to what you said, and I think that is extremely powerful. And to be completely honest, what usually happens in the conversation, especially when we're talking about male and female, you start to immediately compare. Is that the same on both sides of the coin? And this is not one where I would say, you know, it's total ownership. I think it definitely affects men in a different way that it affects women. And because we are to be leaders and heads of our households, especially when given the opportunity to, that at the end of the day, if you don't have that confidence, you're not going to be able to lead. You have to be secure in your decision making. You have to be secure in having a sound mind. You have to be confident that your decisions would be beneficial to the family and not only to your family but to yourself. Before you even get to that particular point. And a lot of times, what plays a role into that are your poor decisions leading up to it, and how willing you are to be forgiving of yourself and give yourself grace and look at what some of your challenges are so you can fill in some of those gaps. And if you don't really and this is the thing, auntie, if you don't take self inventory, you will always
mhm,
be that insecure person, because
mhm,
those insecure behaviors, that insecure action, whatever you're doing to try to hide your insecurity, is going to always show itself at some point. And that's the one thing about what I've seen, not only male and female, it's on your face. It's an energy. You show it on your face, and it's going to be an energy that you exude, that people either catch confidence from you or they don't receive it from you. And that's
right.
why sometimes, and what I wrote down, auntie, and if we get to this particular point, I wrote down from a dating standpoint, this is huge. Like,
Mm,
this is huge. This is huge. Not only from a status standpoint, from a social media, what you need to do from a social media standpoint, and what your presence need to be, or your standing needs to be, but then also, what are you posting on social media so you can send certain messages? Because a lot of people forget that you control your social media. So what I show you is what I want you to see. So whatever narrative, whatever brand, whatever perception you think of me or whoever it is that has that social media account, they're probably being intentional about what they show you. Or maybe they just posting whatever, and then because they're confident and they don't have that insecurity. You never know. You really never know what side of the coin it is, but you really have to take self inventory and go back to what we were talking about before. You have to sleep with you. You have to wake up to you. You have to look at you in the mirror. And one of the things that from my personal experience, from a security and self esteem standpoint, is what I wrote down. I said I realized trying to quote unquote put on strip me of my dignity. It strips you of your dignity. It strips me of my dignity
mm,
and the confidence, and it strips me of my dignity and the confidence in who I am, and it challenged my faith in God. Because the reason that it challenged my faith in God, because that means I'm not confident in who He's made me to be and what He's having me to do. And to know that if He's put me in a space, I'm meant to be there, and to be in full confidence of it. It doesn't matter the title, it doesn't matter the standing, and it doesn't matter the status. I'm supposed to be there. So if I'm supposed to be there, I can walk in full confidence. So why am I challenging that with insecurities of saying, oh, okay, I don't think I'm good enough, or I think I'm going to fall short, or all these negative thoughts that now are being recycled within my head, to whereas now I feel the need to put on in a situation. And this is a case of faking it till you make it going wrong. It went wrong. It went wrong. He's going to be he might not hear the same day, but tomorrow when he goes to the mess hall, or when he goes to the I can't remember what it's called, the grocery store on post, when he goes there, or maybe he goes talks and speaks to another colonel and maybe another side of the military or side of the army, the people are gonna know he did that. That's the IT room already knows. It's a running joke at this
Yeah.
particular point. But you have to ask yourself why.
Can you visualize the face of the I wonder, I
Mm-hmm.
imagine the face after, I'm here to connect your phone.
Mm-hmm.
What was that moment like afterwards? And can you just imagine? So what do you say? What do you
Right.
say next? And who says it first?
He
Because
probably
we
tried to
just had a
lie.
moment that we know, a moment of lie. And think about, yeah, think about you guys when you've said something, because we've all I think I could say that we've all been in this place where we've said something to keep up or to make someone think better of us, right?
Right.
And how
Embellish.
you felt afterwards. And most times the person that you were trying to fake it with, most times people know. If they people,
Mm-hmm.
like you said, the energy, people know when you are shooting the crap, right?
Yeah.
So think about the time that you felt like, I have to say this for the sake of helping or making someone think this about me so that I can feel what about me, right? Feel what? Because you've lied. So who are you really kidding? And I say the greatest lies that we tell are the ones that we tell to ourselves about
Mm-hmm.
who we are, where we are in this time, because you're keeping yourself down. And people have lied so much about who they are, um, what they're doing, until in some sense they've become to believe it. They've owned it. They're owning it. And once you own it, you're not going to change it. You're just going to keep lying to yourself about who you
Oh,
are,
because you got to keep up. You have to
not
ride the
who you're
line. You got to
becoming.
keep it up.
And it says here, you got to keep the lie up. And I sometimes can't remember the truth. So,
Right.
I don't
Self.
need to
You
lie.
lose who you are, ain't it? You lose who you are,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
you know,
It says
and
for
go ahead.
too many people. No, go ahead. I just want to read a part of it. You go first.
No, you said for too many people.
For too many people walk through life with a low self-image. They are overly, and this is the part, you guys, they are overly concerned with their weaknesses rather than their strengths. And they try to conceal them with a false sense of status. So it's
Mm-hmm.
telling us you're focusing on what you cannot do, what you do not have, what you can't do, or what you think you cannot do, and what you think you do not have, and you're comparing
Mm-hmm.
yourself to not only people but to the world, and what the world says brings value to you. There was one, and
Mm-hmm.
I believe Brandon was on this one, where it talked about how people will think that they're in poverty because they don't have a cell phone or a phone.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking, you're valuing your life, who you are, based on a phone, you know? So you're focusing on your weaknesses more than your strengths. And it goes on to tell us the person with a healthy, happy attitude toward his world, recognize his imperfections and strives to find his strengths. Never forget that you have strengths and talents waiting to be developed. And nephew, as you mentioned, the graveyard is the richest place in the world because
Mm-hmm.
there's so much richness. Like the dad who said, I'll go down in the plane. I've lived a rich life. He wasn't talking about money. He's been blessed. He's had his family. So status
He's
is
a
the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Trying to keep up with the Joneses is keeping you from becoming who you are and focusing
Right.
on your strength. Over to you, nephew.
That's absolutely true. I mean, it's, like and I think it's been noted before, comparison is the killer of progress. It just destroys your progress because you're not progressing in the way that God wants you to progress. You're progressing in a way that society is telling you, okay, this is the direction I want to go in. This is the direction I need to go in order to have certain things, in order to be and kind of have this status. But until what just came to me, and I was like, man, that's an interesting perspective. Let's flip the coin a little bit. Not really flip the coin. Let's jump into someone else's shoes within the story. Let's be the corporal for a second. Let's be the corporal for a second. And the only reason I think I have this perspective is because this is a constant conversation at work where I'm having to explain certain things or really describe to some of my reps who want to be in leadership how to try to be all encompassing when you're speaking or when you're trying to recognize or acknowledge certain things. And to them, it's almost like a running joke now because they're like, man, that's a lot. Like you have to do so much to try to make sure you don't step on anyone's toes or offend anyone or disrespect anyone. Like the other
Yes.
day, so give you an example for everyone that's listening, giving you an example. When I arrived back to work on Monday, even though I'd already posted something within our team's chat, I was like, hey, how was your Easter? How was your Easter weekend? And how was your Resurrection Sunday? So to include everything, because to be completely honest with you, I'm not going to disregard God. I know what they're trying to do in society, but they can miss me with all that. It makes no sense to me that we have included God in almost everything from the foundation of the nation. And now we're trying to strip God away from it and not even
Mhm.
celebrate or acknowledge who he is. It makes no sense. But either way it goes, um, I say all that to say this. So if you're looking at it from a corporal standpoint, if he wanted to be a carnal one day, maybe he's now looking at the example that the carnal was setting and saying, well, if I have to be fake in order to be in his shoes, I don't want to do it.
True.
Just like in the instance where I'm at work, if I got to do so much in order to try to encompass all these different perspectives, mindsets, opposed to just telling people what it is, and I can't do that comfortably and normally and with ease, then I don't think I want to be in leadership. So maybe the corporal is now looking at the colonel in this sense and saying, hey, like why did you just do that? If I have to lie, if I have to put on, if I have to show insecurity or try to be something that I'm not in order to be in your shoes, the corporal probably is talking to himself and saying, yeah, I'm cool, I don't want to do that, because I know that when I leave here I'm going to make you a joke, and I don't want to be a joke. So are you a joke? Are
Mm.
you a joke for the things that you're posting on Instagram in order to gain likes? Are you a joke for spending money that you don't have so that you can be in certain places to post pictures on Instagram for likes?
Come on
Are you
now.
searching for a status that you and I can't, and I've heard it so many times, and most of the time when I try to repeat this quote, it doesn't go together the way it's supposed to. But in the long and the short is, people that chase this this acknowledgement, that chase their confirmation through social media, are taking pictures, they're buying things with money that they don't have to impress people on Instagram that they don't like, to also reach people that they'll never meet.
Hmm. I remember that one. Yep.
So, and one thing that we have to remember in everything that we do, no matter how small the action is what's the purpose, and are we doing it on purpose and with purpose? Because that's how God operates. So if we're operating from a kingdom mindset, if you're doing something without purpose, you're not doing something within the realm or within the will of God. What's the purpose? He can't even come in and touch it because you just doing whatever. And if you're just doing whatever on the precipice, or on the, I won't say on the precipice, but if you're just doing whatever on the ideal that you're going to reap some type of status or some type of increased popularity, for who? Unless it's making you money in the sense that you're able to take care of your family, which gives purpose back to the money that's being made. Money is just an instrument. So chasing it is only gonna lead you down a road where if you don't know how to use it when you get it, that's just like having a dang on a saxophone and you don't know how to play it. It's an instrument. You got to know how to play the instrument. So just because you're trying to seek it out, it doesn't mean that you know how to use it when you have it. So chasing this status, chasing this idea of being someone other than who you are, is it truly benefiting you? Like, who are you kidding? You're kidding yourself, and you're living
Mm,
in a lie. And this lie is not going to have you be able to live in your purpose. And because you can't get to your purpose, you're gonna keep going in circles. You might have some accomplishments along the way, but do you feel fulfilled? Are you at peace with you?
there you
Are you still picking up the phone when somebody come in and act like you talking to President Obama?
go. For the people in the back, right?
Right,
Nephew, I
right.
found that quote. I got to read it for you. So it's a Dave Ramsey quote, and it says, "We buy things that we don't need with money we don't have to impress people we don't like." And I'm going to say to impress people that we don't even know. Because
Don't
half of the
even
people
know.
on my Facebook page, social media, I don't know. And if I know them, I haven't seen them in so long, I wouldn't know them if I saw them, right? So we buy things we don't need with money we don't have to impress people. I'm going to say that we don't know and we don't like,
Yeah.
right? Y'all
Wow.
think about that. Think about that just for status quo. While you're sitting there, I remember being out with long time ago, being out with someone, and it was Bebe, the Bebe store. I think I'm saying that right, BB or Bebe or something like that.
Okay.
And this shirt, it was a little T-shirt with the word Bebe on, Bebe. Y'all help me with that. Um, and I'm standing there with this person, and they're pulling out one credit card. That one didn't work. Okay, try this one. That one didn't work. We went through that about 4 rounds, y'all. And I'm like, really? This is a
Right.
t-shirt that you could really go home and buy some, you could do some craft and put it on yourself for what? Maybe 10 $12. A t-shirt, right? And it's not about the t-shirt, it's about you are okay with, well, try this one. Try this one. They're all maxed out. Try this one. How crazy is that? For what? So that you can put that shirt on and somebody can say what?
Right.
So if
And
you're
what's
doing
where
it for the
once is
status
it.
quo, it's a different thing. Think about it. We buy things that we don't need. And think about what you said. Wealth is not about how much you have, but how little
Little you
we
need.
need. Nephew, I used that at church Sunday with my family. I used
That's
it.
awesome.
I'm telling you, I used it as I talked about how we need to come together. That is and support the inheritance, which is the land, because not many black folks can say, families, that they have a church that's been in their life since they were born. That
Hmm.
church has been there, that land has been there, and that was our 40th family reunion. If that's not something grand, and it needs to be seen as a whole as holy land. Our
Hmm.
ancestors are buried there. They fought for it. They were willing to die for it, right? And
Hmm.
so I shared that because, and I also said, it was the offering time, that many of you still got in your pocket some money that you're going to use to buy something that you want. And that money belongs to God. It belongs to
Hmm.
this land, right? So you're keeping it. And y'all, it's a blessing to be a blessing.
Hmm.
That scripture there, it is a
Yeah.
blessing to be a blessing. So the disciples who bought all from a place of wealth, we all can do that. And then you still don't give it all. You still give a little bit. There's the woman who had a little and gave it all, right? Give yourself your all. Don't see yourself. You have to see yourself as God created you. Because y'all, when you don't, do you really believe in God?
Right.
When you don't see yourself how God created you, do you really believe in the creator?
Right. Right. Then that's what I mean. That's exactly how I felt at a certain time. And I mean, I definitely wasn't going to the extent that this colonel just went to, but you know, peer pressure, growing up, we all face some of the same
Yes.
external factors and forces that kind of push us into this space, especially not being mature and then maturing to understand that none of that stuff is really priority. It never really mattered in the first place. But while you're doing it, while you're going through it, you don't realize how much of yourself that you're losing. To whereas now you have to go find that. It's like it's I won't call it breadcrumbs, but it's literally like leaving something in the house and you don't know where you left like and you need it for something now. You have to go find it because you didn't realize how valuable or how important it was. And I'm not talking about keys. I'm not talking about maybe some document, maybe some documents, maybe that self inventory, that part of you that you were willing to sit aside or willing to be fearful, too fearful to show. Why? Who are you kidding? You are you. God made you for the purpose of you being you to fulfill a prophecy, a purpose, and a will that He has over your life. And if you're not walking in you, how can you fulfill a purpose? If you're trying to be somebody else, how can you ever fulfill what God has for you or obtain what God has from you? It's going to go to a certain level, then you're going to hit a ceiling because He's waiting for you to walk and step into who He's made you to be and what He's made you to be that way for. But until you recognize it, you're going to lose some dignity. You're going to lose some self confidence. You're going to be insecure, and fear is not of God. So if you're fearful and insecure about who you are, then again, that's another reason you're challenging your faith. You're challenging your relationship with God. Like, nah, man. At the end of the day, this the body He gave me. It's the mind He gave me. It's the look He gave me, good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. And you don't have to be attractive to everybody. Let's just say that. I'm gonna put that on, from all the social media folks, for everybody that's out there dating. If they don't like the way you look, oh well, I'm not for you.
You
But
know
if
what
you
else,
know,
nephew? You make me think about as I do the coaching with couples coaching, married. So I get people who are dating, married, and so forth. And there is one couple. There's many, but there's one couple that I was so disturbed by because what I'll do is the first thing I'm going to go look on your social media page when you contact me. Hey, we want to schedule some time with you. I go look at the social media page individually, all of that. And I never see any sign of trouble on social
mm,
media, right? I see just the opposite, just the opposite.
yeah,
So you
until they
guys are
disappear.
comparing yourself and your relationships and your relationship with yourself based on people that you
Hmm.
don't know. And there's always a story behind the story. No relationship is perfect, right? But when I look at these people who have reached out to me, and there was one when I met with them, it was so bad I wouldn't even take their money. I was like, this facade y'all got going is dangerous.
Hmm.
It's toxic. It's dangerous. I don't want your money. And I sat with them for hours. And the wife said, "Please let me pay you." No, I don't want your money in my account. Period. That's how bad it was. Now,
Hmm.
someone on social media was looking at that couple. I want what they want, and you don't even know what they got.
Grass is not always greener.
Mm.
Whatever the perception is not always the full truth.
I've
Not
passed by some
always.
houses with some green, thought, oh, that grass is pretty, only to find out that it was fake.
Yep,
They didn't even have to cut it or water it,
it's
right?
turf.
Just
It's
her.
turf.
Just
Yeah.
her.
I mean, we're seeing that now, though, Auntie. To your point, look at all the celebrity couples that are getting divorced or separating or whatever the case may be. I mean, we've seen it for some time now, but we went through a season there with kids and marriages that was like, oh, this is the thing to do. And then what were people doing in society? They were following suit. Man, people out here having kids like it was like buying a dog. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay,
What's
I'm gonna get
what's
me a
your boy?
kid too.
What's the boy's name? The star,
Nick Cannon.
Nick Cannon. That's the most foolish mess I ever seen in my life.
And people go
That
along with it.
and y'all watch the show, listen to that foolishness. I'm like, and this is why we cannot change because we're not learning. We're being they are pouring things into you that
Hmm.
you now believe. It's like you listening to the song that you don't like. Like you're in your car and the song comes on and you just sit there and listen to it. Man, I hate this song, right? But you keep listening to it every day
Right.
because they play the same songs over and over and over and over again. When I get in my car, it's YouTube. I am over what I'm listening to.
Right.
I listen to things that's going to feed my mind. There is jazz, there's music or motivation for when you are driving that you can pull up in your car. Instead, we listen to what? And for the people
Oh,
in the back, I gotta say this: change the dial. Go listen to, if you're in Memphis, kick K, is it K Love, or there's another one. Listen, see, just monitor how what our children listen to on the way to school versus what other races kids hear on the radio. Sickening,
mm,
sickening. And y'all will be bopping and singing that mess in the car with your children on the way to school.
yep.
And how are
Yes,
they
yes,
supposed to have a
okay.
productive day when they already gangsterfied?
Right.
They ain't gonna be
Ratchet.
learnified is the
It's
word.
some
Right,
ratchet stuff. This stuff is. Ooh,
right,
ooh. One of the
right.
people that just had a kid. Ooh, what? You have children?
Yes, yes. And still
Hey,
trying
I'm,
to
I'm
keep up
just
the
gonna
status.
say it. I mean, hey, we might, hey, this might make it go, a little viral once I say this, but hey, man, Sexy Red didn't need no kids, man. That's not one individual, man.
Who?
What? It, auntie, auntie, I'm gonna just say go listen to. You said the music that's on the radio.
Uh-huh.
Just look up that name. Just listen. Whatever
Sexy
the first,
red.
whatever the first song that pops up, just listen to it. Just listen to
It's,
it.
you said sexy red.
Sexy Red. Your jaw is
Okay.
gonna drop. And she just had, I don't know if it was a boy or a girl, but she literally just had a child not too long ago. And if you listen to her music, the music was out before she had the child. And I mean, and I don't. It ain't even a point of who the baby daddy is. If they gonna get married, I don't care about none of that. It's just certain people. Everybody doesn't need kids. The Bible tells us that everybody not gonna get married, and everybody ain't gonna have kids. So everybody don't need kids, and we got to be at a certain place where we're able to give back stuff to our kids. And security doesn't look. The security ain't green. Self confidence don't come in a green color because I've never seen a green person. Self identity doesn't look green. So the justification of the validity that we're using for status in this society to be money, money that you can't take with you, money if you lose a limb or somehow it gets cut off and now you need to find love and you need love to uphold you and you don't even have that love for yourself, that money is gonna do nothing for you. Like rich people say all the time, and like I hear a lot of inspiration and motivational speakers speak to is I know a lot of rich, unhappy people. They have money, they don't have love. They don't have self confidence. They don't have their dignity. They don't know exactly what they've done in order to get to that particular. We don't know what they had to do to get to that point. Some of the stuff that they hint to, some of the stuff that Cat Williams spoke about in this conversation with Shannon Sharp. If you want to go through it and do it just because it means that much to you, by all means. But if you're willing to sell your soul to the devil just to have a small taste of fame and glory, by all means, go ahead, man. By all means, it's your prerogative. That's what Bobby Brown said.
Wow. So y'all, at the end of the day, ask yourself the question: who am I kidding? Because I know you're not fooling yourself. Because it's one thing that I know that I know that I know is that you know that you know that you
Because you
know
know the truth. Yep.
the truth. And truth be told, it ain't them, it's you. It's you. It's you standing between the you. It's you that created that bridge of status. Nephew, I went to a church, and I'm going to give it over to you for closing. I went to a church with my neighbor, an elderly neighbor. This has been some time ago. And I was truly disturbed. Like I've never seen the bottom of a pastor's shoes in my life, right?
Mm-hmm.
This pastor had on his red bottom shoes, right?
Okay. Okay.
And so y'all probably wonder, well, how did you see his shoes? Because every other word he said, he would go fall in the chair and his legs, he would kick his legs up like this. He'd go back to preach, he'd go back to the chair, sit down, and kick his legs up like this so we could see his shoe. I'm telling y'all, it was he wanted us to see the bottom of his shoes, and they were red. And all I could think of, I don't want to sit in front of anybody. It's one thing if you want to buy them, right? If they're for the comfort or whatever, if they're because we need good shoes, right? But it's another thing if you feel the need. in the midst of preaching God's word, to fall back in your chair every other word and raise your feet up like this. I mean, y'all, come on now. And I tried to say maybe not. It was so on, meaning that's exactly what he was doing. No doubt in my mind. Look at my shoes. Look at my shoes. And then begging for money. Somebody in the church, I promise you, well, yeah, I know, was in need, is in need.
Mm-hmm.
Elderly people are sitting there paycheck for paycheck to paycheck,
And still giving.
and still giving, and still giving, and still giving. So I'm going to read a few comments out here, and then I'm going to turn it over to you as we do our thing. Um, Brenda Davis says they got mad because one of the residents got raped by one of the thugs in the neighborhood. That's the women of Brewster's Place. And she says also because the woman who got raped didn't know who it was, she viciously attacked an elderly gentleman who had befriended her when he came
Mm.
upon the scene and attempted to help her. And then she says the music is sick and sad, but the
Oh
ones who listen
yeah,
to it
that's
don't
right.
care enough. Right, I remember it now. Yeah, yep. So, um, y'all, we just got to do better and ask yourself, who am I kidding? And I've been there. I'm telling you, I've been to where I felt I had to, and I know why I felt that way because I didn't feel like I was adequate. I didn't feel like I was enough. So I had to present a story, a lie that really just made me go deeper into my demise. It just sent me deeper
Mm-hmm.
into my stuff. It did not help me. But oh, when I faced myself, the day I laid my burdens down and
Mm-hmm.
decided I wasn't going to pick them up, that I could sell chicken amongst 100 other people on the same corner selling chicken, that I could sell it and sell out and then say, hey, go help my sister or my brother down the street. Even with what I'm doing now, you guys, I had, ooh, that's one. Ooh, when I did it previously, and I'm doing it in a different way now, but it would not matter because even in what I'm doing now, what sometimes I have to go out and do, I remember when I did it, I felt like I'm better than this and was making good money. I don't need to be doing this and doing, y'all. The first day back out in the field with this mindset, I killed it. I killed it. Meaning I was so productive because I know whatever it is I do, whether if I sweep the streets, you're gonna be like, the butterfly must have did these
Yeah.
streets.
Right,
The
right.
butterfly did these. She cleaned these streets. If I take the trash out, y'all, it's so deep with me. I can't go in a public bathroom, and if I mess it up, I find myself cleaning it up. I don't want anybody to walk behind me. I don't leave the water. I don't leave anything. I won't get into too much detail. I don't leave it. I make sure I don't want somebody coming in. That could be my daughter, my son, my father, my mother. I'm thinking about the next rodeo, the next person, right? So you just got to be true to you because you ain't
Mm-hmm.
fooling nobody. Over to
But
you, Nick.
yourself.
But
But yourself.
so,
Ladies and gentlemen, as we draw to a close, one thing that I want to leave you with is for those of you who have heard it, please repeat it. For those of you hearing it for the first time, you're going to feel it. You are beautifully and wonderfully made in the image of God. There was no mistake. There's no accident. You are his amazing creation. So if you do not take full hold of who you are and who you want to be and who God is giving you to be and truly seek out that purpose and find that will so that you will never find a day within your adult mature life that you're insecure, where you are questioning your self-confidence, where you are questioning and have no clue of who you are, your self-identity. We all go through this throughout life. We all have these times of immaturity where peer pressure is a real thing. External factors and forces come in. Spirituals and principalities tend to try to push you off your course because they don't want you to go in the direction that God has set for you. Well, we're telling you right now that who are you kidding? Who are you kidding? You're kidding yourself, because you're kidding yourself and you're selling yourself short and you're delaying the time. Don't be like the children of Israel, where it should have took 40 days, but it took 40 years. Don't extend your time by not truly walking in your purpose or walking in who God has made you to be. Walk in it in fullness, because that's how you will ultimately attain every desire of your heart, every dream that you have dreamt, every
Mm,
need that needs to be fulfilled will come through your purpose and you walking in who God has made you to be and doing it to the best of your ability. You can't be anyone else's best version. You can only be the best version of yourself. And you do this every single day by living in your truth. Because the word tells us that our people are set free. And it says that my people are set free by the blood of the Lamb and the power of their testimony. So if you are willing to find liberty through the power of your testimony each and every time that you speak, you live, you behave, do it in its fullness, because that's ultimately going to give you that security, that confidence, that faith, that dignity, that self identity that you can walk in and not be shaken, not be pulled off of the status and the stand that God has placed you on, because He has something for you. So seek that out, and don't seek out what all these people say are important. The only thing that is important is who God has made you to be, because the only person that you're going to be kidding if you try to be someone else is yourself.
mm. All
Today's
right.
after
All right.
today's affirmation, before we're going to read it a couple times before we get out. Did you have anything you wanted to add, Auntie?
I just asked the question, who are you kidding? Who are you kidding?
Who you kidding?
Write it down. The people you
Who
think
you
you
kidding?
write it down. Who you kidding? Like you said, like
Who you
look, who you
kidding? Go ahead. I release any need for false status. I am comfortable with who and what I am. As I develop my strengths, I will uncover my greatest gifts. I will release my need for false status. I am comfortable with who and what I am. As I develop my strengths, I will uncover my greatest gifts. One more time for the black folks in the back. I will release the need for false status. I am comfortable with who and what I am. And say that with conviction. I am comfortable
with.
with who and what I am. As I develop my strengths, the reciprocity in that process, I will uncover my greatest gifts. So you have to don't kid anymore. Don't play around. Don't play with your life. Don't play around. Don't kid around. Don't joke around. No horseplay, as the 10-year folks say, because you doing so is only delaying the time and the gifting and the uncovering and the reciprocity of you living in your truth and who God has made you to be, in order to gain what He has for you.
Mm,
I walk into it each and every single day in fullness. I say it with confidence. People know that I'll tell the truth no matter what the situation is. Don't ask me a question and you won't get the truth in response, because it might hurt your feelings. Because I'll be honest, because I'm just that blatantly honest with myself.
mm,
I'm my own worst critic. So I'm challenging you today to stop kidding yourself, stop putting on, as we say, for anybody else, because it's only to your detriment. The ways of man lead to destruction, but the ways of God lead to an abundant life. Do you want abundance, or you want destruction?
mm. I want to I'm feeling led to if someone would like to take the assessment that I use for all of my customers, that is a requirement. They have to take the assessment that we offer, because and the reason I believe this came to mind, because as I develop my strengths, right? Maybe today when you leave here, Google, how do I develop my strengths? That's what nephew was talking about. We could use this for something else other than social media, right? How
Right.
do I develop my strengths? And I'll tell you one way is those P's that we talked about: purpose, prayer, right? Persistence. Go back and listen to that one. But if someone out there, and now if you're gonna do this, you're gonna have to do the work as well, right? You just can't take it and be like, "Oh, I did it. I
Right.
did something. I'm good now." No, you have to be willing to put the work into it. So you reach out to me and I'll make that happen. And I'm going to put a time limit on it. 24 hours. That's all you got from right now. 24 hours. Nothing more. Nothing
Let
more.
me
So,
just, I want to push a little bit more on what you just said, Auntie. Education is a responsibility to do something with what you've learned. So, to Auntie's
mm,
point, if you find out more about yourself, if you're doing nothing about it after you find out more about yourself, that's intense. That's actually kind of that's scary to some extent because you don't you must care enough to do something about changing you or developing you. Nobody should care more than you do about you.
yep. So be it. All right. This has been great. Thank you for rocking with us. Nephew, are you back with me tomorrow?
Yes. Yeah, let's talk offline because I just want
Okay.
to make sure we got the schedule down. But
All
I
right.
definitely appreciate the invitation and being able to be here through
Okay.
the last few days. But
Okay.
totally appreciate it.
All right. All right. So you guys be great. We love you. Peace.